You've been wondering why the pressure won't let up, why the pain keeps coming, why the breaking feels endless. But what if I told you it's not destruction, it's construction? You are not being buried, you're being planted. God is not punishing you, he's preparing you. Every crack, every tear, every fall. It's all part of a divine rebuild. He's stripping away what can't go with you into your next season. So don't curse the breaking. Embrace it, because when God breaks you, it's only to rebuild you into a woman who's unshakable, unstoppable, and stronger than ever before. Brokenness can feel like the end of everything you knew. It disrupts your rhythm, dismantles your confidence, and makes you question your worth. When everything you lean on collapses, when the plans you built fall apart, and the relationships you counted on shatter, it's easy to think it's all over. But what if that breaking was not an ending, but a beginning in disguise? What if the fragments of your life weren't signs of failure, but raw materials in God's hands? Because what looks like ruin in your eyes might be the very design he's using to build something stronger, something deeper, something rooted in purpose. God doesn't waste brokenness. He works in it. He speaks through it. When he allows things to fall apart, it's never to leave you in pieces, but to reveal the pieces he's going to use to rebuild you into something greater. Like a master architect, he strips away faulty foundations, removes unstable structures, and begins drafting a new plan, a better one that can bear the weight of the woman you're becoming. You may feel like you're standing in the rubble, but God sees a future sanctuary rising out of that wreckage. In your broken moments, your real strength is revealed. Not the strength that shows up when everything is perfect, but the strength that's forged in pain, in confusion, in surrender. This kind of strength doesn't come from ease. It comes from endurance. When everything falls apart and you're still standing, still praying, still believing, that's where faith is born. That's where growth takes root. God never promised you wouldn't break, but he did promise he would never leave you in your brokenness. He walks into those shattered places with you and begins the process of recreation. Brokenness has a way of silencing the noise. It pulls you into places where only his voice can reach. It causes you to lean in, to listen, to rediscover who you are beyond what you lost. Sometimes the version of you that was thriving was also the version of you that was settling. God loves you too much to let you live beneath your potential. So he allows the storm. He allows the shaking, because only in the shaking can the unshakable parts of you be revealed. Only in the breaking do you learn that what seemed like the end is actually the start of something sacred. Your tears are not just sorrow, they are liquid prayers. Your wounds are not just pain, they are portals to healing. And your brokenness is not just damage, it is design. It is the place where God lays down new patterns, fresh plans, divine directions. Sometimes before he elevates you, he has to excavate you. He has to dig deep, clear out the lies, and remove everything that no longer serves the woman you're becoming. So when you feel empty, know that you're being cleared out for capacity. When you feel lost, know that you're being led into alignment. You are being rewritten in the dark, reshaped in the fire, refined in the weight of what almost crushed you, but it didn't. Do you still hear? And every scar, every bruise, Every piece that was torn apart is now in the hands of a God who specializes in restoration. He's not rebuilding the old version of you. He's not trying to put you back together the same way. He's making something entirely new, something stronger, something unshakable. The blueprint for your next level is being drafted in the middle of your breaking. And even if you can't see it yet, I trust that God can. There are seasons in life when everything starts to feel like it's being stripped away. The friendships you thought would last forever begin to fade. The opportunities you counted on suddenly fall through. The routines that brought you comfort no longer feel fulfilling. It can feel like loss after loss, like God is pruning your life without warning or explanation. And in that painful process, it's easy to think you're being punished or overlooked. But in reality, God is being intentional. He's not trying to harm you. He's helping you grow. He's removing what weakens you to reveal what strengthens you. Sometimes we become so attached to what is familiar that we don't realize how much it's holding us back. We cling to relationships, habits, or roles that may have once served us, but are now silently draining our strength. God, in His wisdom, steps in and begins to separate you from the very things that are sabotaging your progress. Not out of cruelty, but out of love, because He knows what you need more than you know what you want. He sees the full picture while you're still trying to make sense of a broken frame. You might not recognize the weakness until it's gone. That comfort zone you loved so much was keeping you small. That relationship you were begging Him to save was actually robbing you of your identity. That job you cried over losing was stunning your growth. God's hands remove gently, even when the process feels harsh. He takes away what is unstable so He can anchor you in what is eternal. He removes what is artificial so He can reveal what is authentic. In every subtraction, there is a setup for a greater addition. What weakens you is often disguised as something that once made you feel strong, a position, a person. But God isn't concerned with temporary strength. He's after the kind of strength that sustains you through the storm, the kind that's not based on applause or attention, but on character and connection with Him. So He starts pulling away the layers, not to shame you, but to shape you. He's refining you through removal. He's fortifying your soul by freeing it from what can't go where He's taken you. And in that space of removal, you begin to discover what has been inside of you all along: endurance, wisdom, peace, discernment, courage. You realize that the strength you were looking for in others was already planted in your spirit by God Himself. You no longer need to perform for acceptance or cling to unhealthy attachments to feel whole. The voids created by removal are now being filled with purpose, identity, and truth. You're no longer leaning on crutches. You're standing on faith. It's in the wilderness that your strength begins to rise. When there's no one else to lean on, you learn to lean on God. When there's nothing left to distract you, you finally confront what's been buried. And in that confrontation, something sacred happens. You start to see that God's pruning wasn't punishment. It was preparation. He was making room. He was clearing the path. He was stripping you of what was weakening your walk so you could carry the weight of your calling. When God removes, He always reveals. He doesn't just take away. He shows you what you never saw in yourself. He uses the absence to amplify what matters. He uses the silence to sharpen your sensitivity. He uses the loss to awaken the fighter within you. The woman who knows how to rise, not because she has it all, but because she knows who holds it all. The strength He reveals isn't loud. It's not boastful. It's quiet, steady, unshakable, and it's yours. There are moments when life seems to cave in all at once, when everything you've worked for collapses, when the path ahead disappears, and when the very ground beneath you feels unstable. These are the moments we call breakdowns. They come unexpectedly and hit without mercy, breaking our rhythm, shattering our peace, and leaving us questioning everything we believed about who we are and where we're going. But what feels like a breaking point is often a building point in disguise. Every breakdown, no matter how devastating, is preparing the ground for something far greater. Something that could never rise unless the old was first torn down. God often builds in reverse. He starts by allowing what is weak or unsteady in your life to fall apart, not because He wants to see you suffer, but because He wants to see you soar. And He knows you can't soar while dragging weight that was never meant for your next season. So, when it all starts falling apart, don't rush to rebuild what God is trying to remove. Let the breakdown do its work. Let it expose what you depended on more than Him. Let it reveal what's been hidden, unspoken, and unresolved. Because the truth is, you can't heal what you won't confront. And sometimes the breakdown is just the confrontation your breakthrough needs. You may not see it at first, but something divine is happening beneath the rubble. In the middle of your heartbreak, disappointment, and confusion, God is digging deeper into the soil of your soul. He's removing the shallow roots, the fragile structures, the false identities. He's going down to the foundation. Because the height of your breakthrough will always depend on the depth of your preparation. The deeper the breaking, the stronger the base. And God is not interested in building something that looks good on the outside, but crumbles under pressure. He's constructing something lasting, something eternal, something that can weather every storm and still stand. Breakdowns strip away what's unnecessary. They silence the noise so you can finally hear the truth. They shake loose the things you were holding on to survive, so you can make room for what will help you thrive. What you thought was the end is actually a clearing. What looked like defeat is really divine alignment. God uses the breakdown to shift your perspective, reset your priorities, and push you out of places you were never meant to stay. It's in those lowest places that the seeds of your breakthrough are sown. When you're out of answers, out of strength, and out of plans, you become fully open to God's direction. And that's when the shift begins. That's when the rebuilding starts. Not with noise or fanfare, but with quiet obedience, with one brave step at a time, with a heart that says, even in this, I trust you. That kind of surrender lays the groundwork for the miracle, because God doesn't need your perfection. He needs your permission. He needs your yes in the middle of the mess. He needs your faith in the silence between the breakdown and the breakthrough. Every painful moment is a brick. Every tear is mortar. Every prayer is a beam of strength holding up your future. Nothing is wasted. Not the confusion, not the waiting, not the fall. God is using it all to build something beautiful, something powerful, something unshakable. And the beauty of it is this: when your breakthrough comes, you'll know it wasn't built on ease. It was built on endurance. It wasn't built on fantasy. It was built on faith. The very thing that tried to break you became the platform that launched you. And what once felt like a breakdown will be remembered as the birthplace of the woman who refused to quit. When life begins to unravel, it can feel like you're losing control of everything you once held together. The relationships you counted on shift, your goals feel out of reach, and the version of yourself you worked so hard to build begins to crack under pressure. You start to question your worth, your direction, and your strength. It feels like you're falling apart, bit by bit, day by day. But what you can't yet see is that the unraveling is not your undoing. It's the beginning of your becoming. You are not falling apart. You are falling into purpose. There are seasons where it feels like everything familiar is slipping away, not because you failed, but because you're being redirected. You've outgrown the spaces you once fit in. You've matured past the roles you were surviving in. You've been called to more, but more can't come until less is cleared. So God starts removing, shifting, breaking, not to destroy you, but to align you. The process is painful, but it's sacred. It forces you to release the masks you wore, the false identities you clung to, and the expectations that never truly matched your calling. Purpose isn't found in perfection. It's found in the pieces, in the broken places, in the quiet unraveling where you lose who you thought you were, only to find who you were always meant to be. You don't step into purpose fully polished. You step into it humbled, surrendered, and rebuilt. That's why the falling feels so heavy, because it's undoing everything that cannot carry the weight of your next level. God is not punishing you. He's positioning you. He's pushing you into the depths of your calling by peeling back everything that was superficial. It's in the unraveling that clarity begins to rise. You stop striving to please everyone. You stop chasing what no longer fulfills you. You begin to hear God's voice louder than the noise around you. You begin to walk in truth, not just trends. This isn't weakness. It's awakening. It's the beginning of a divine alignment that anchors your soul. The things that once defined you no longer hold power because you're learning that identity doesn't come from people. It comes from purpose. And purpose comes from the one who made you. In the middle of the fall, when it all feels like too much, remember that God is still in control. He sees what you can't. He knows the assignment on your life, and he knows what has to be broken to get you there. Not every loss is a defeat. Some are deliverance. Not every ending is a failure. Some are freedom. God will allow what you thought you couldn't live without to fall away, so he can show you what you were truly made for. That's why the fall is necessary. It breaks you free from what was never meant to hold you in the first place. The pain you feel now is not wasted. It's purpose in progress. It's the shedding of who you were so you can rise into who you're called to be. This is your preparation ground. The silence is shaping your voice. The isolation is birthing revelation. The confusion is clearing the way for conviction. You're not just being emptied, you're being equipped. Every tear is watering your future. Every setback is setting the stage. Every fall is a step forward in disguise. You may feel like you're unraveling, but you're actually unfolding. Layers of fear, doubt, and insecurity are being stripped away so the real you can emerge. The woman with vision, the woman with power, the woman with purpose. You are not being undone, you are being revealed. And in the falling, you are finally rising into everything God created you to be. There are moments when the pressure becomes unbearable, when the weight on your shoulders feels too heavy to carry, and the expectations, losses, and responsibilities threaten to crush your spirit. It feels like you're being squeezed from every side, like life keeps taking and never giving. You cry out for relief, but instead it feels like the pressure increases. What you may not realize in the middle of the crushing is that something sacred is happening beneath the surface. The crushing is not meant to destroy you. It's designed to expand you. You are not being diminished. You are being developed. The crushing is creating capacity for greater. Just as our lives must be crushed to release oil, and grapes must be pressed to produce wine, your crushing seasons are birthing something valuable inside you. You may not see it yet, but something precious is being extracted from your pain, something that couldn't come forth in comfort. Greatness is never formed in ease, it's shaped in the struggle. Every tear, every disappointment, every closed door is stretching you, preparing you for what you've been praying for, even if it doesn't look like it right now. Growth demands room. But before there can be room for more, the old has to be broken. The limitations you used to live within, the mindsets, relationships, habits, and routines no longer fit the woman you're becoming. So God allows the crushing to take place, not because he's forgotten you, but because he's making space inside of you for greater wisdom, deeper faith, and bolder purpose. It's in the press that you begin to develop endurance. It's in the pressure that character is formed. And it's through the weight of your current circumstances that new strength is being discovered. The crushing often feels like a contradiction. How can something so painful be part of God's plan? But his methods are not always comfortable. They are always purposeful. He doesn't allow you to be crushed to harm you. He allows it to extract the very essence of your calling. There are gifts inside you that only adversity can activate. There is a strength you carry that only pressure can awaken. And there is an anointing over your life that only becomes visible after you've endured the breaking. In these moments, it's easy to want to run to escape the process. But if you run from the crushing, you'll also run from the increase. You'll miss the growth. You'll forfeit the depth. Because the same process that breaks you also builds you. The same weight that presses you down also lifts you higher. If you let it complete its work, God is not interested in building something temporary in you. He's developing something eternal. And that takes time. It takes pressure. It takes trust. Every crushing season is sacred ground. It's where you stop relying on your own strength and start leaning fully into God's. It's where pride dies and humility rises, where self-reliance fades and surrender takes its place. And in that surrender, your capacity grows. You begin to handle what have once crushed you. You carry with grace what used to feel impossible. That's not weakness. That's spiritual expansion. You're being stretched for the very thing you were created to carry. The woman who emerges from the crushing isn't the same woman who entered it. She's wiser. She's deeper. She's unshakable. Not because life became easier, but because she allowed God to do his refining work in the hardest place. The crushing was never meant to stop you. It was meant to shape you. And what it's producing in you is far more powerful than anything you could imagine on your own. Your capacity is increasing. Your roots are growing. And what's ahead will require every ounce of the strength you're gaining right now. There are times when God will separate you from everything and everyone you've known, not to punish you, but to position you. You'll look around and wonder where the familiar faces went, why the phone stopped ringing, why the support you used to count on suddenly disappeared. You'll feel forgotten, misunderstood, and even abandoned. But what looks like rejection on the surface is actually redirection underneath. Isolation is not the absence of God's hand, it's the proof of it. When God calls you into isolation, he is calling you into a sacred space where transformation begins. In the noise of life, it's easy to become dependent on external validation. We rely on others to affirm us, to distract us, to fill the silence we're too afraid to face. But in isolation, all of that is stripped away. It's just you, your thoughts, your wounds, and God. And that's exactly where the healing begins. Because what you try to avoid in the crowd, God will confront in the quiet. He'll bring to the surface what's been buried. He'll expose the broken beliefs, the inner battles, and the emotional wounds that have been hidden behind your business. Transformation doesn't happen in the spotlight. It happens in solitude. God isolates you to refine your identity. In the absence of applause, you start to realize who you really are, not who they said you were, not who you pretended to be, but who He created you to be. Isolation becomes the mirror where you face the real you, not the polished version, but the vulnerable one. And instead of condemning what He sees, God begins to rebuild. He speaks truth over your insecurity. He breathes peace into your panic. He calls you chosen when you feel rejected and strong when you feel broken. Some of the greatest transformations begin in the wilderness. In that place where nothing feels familiar and everything feels uncertain, God becomes your only constant. He removes the crutches you leaned on so you'll learn how to walk in faith. He shuts down the distractions so you'll tune into His voice. And as painful as it may be, the silence becomes a sanctuary. It's where you begin to hear Him clearly, where you begin to see yourself differently, and where the foundation for your next season is laid. Isolation is God's reset. He uses it to strip you of attachments that were never meant to define you. He breaks soul ties, ends unhealthy cycles, and severs anything that's draining your spirit. And while it may feel like loss, it's actually liberation. You're being freed from everything that clouded your vision and weighed down your purpose. In the quiet, your heart becomes still enough to receive what it couldn't hear in the noise: direction, wisdom, clarity, and strength. There is power in the hidden place. What God is doing in you during isolation may not be visible to others, but it's undeniable to you. You'll start to notice the shift, the way your peace grows, the way your discernment sharpens, the way your prayers deepen. You'll no longer chase what you once begged to stay. You'll no longer compromise just to be seen. Because in isolation, you're learning how to be whole on your own. You're learning that you were never created to be defined by the world, but refined by His word. God isolates you not to keep you alone, but to make you ready. Ready for the doors He's about to open. Ready for the battles you're destined to win. Ready for the calling you're about to step into. And when the time is right, He'll release you from that season of hiding, not as the same woman who entered it, but as the transformed, empowered, and unshakable version He always knew was within you. Pain is one of life's greatest teachers, though often the most unwanted one. It enters quietly or crashes loudly, uninvited, and turns your world upside down. It interrupts your peace, questions your faith, and tests every ounce of strength you thought you had. But what if pain wasn't the enemy? What if pain was the very tool God uses to build something eternal in you? It's in those agonizing moments when you feel stretched beyond your limit that something deeper is being formed. God does not waste pain. He uses it to develop power within you that cannot be shaken by circumstance or stolen by fear. There are things you learn in the valley that you'll never discover on the mountaintop. In the low places, you gain access to a part of yourself you didn't know existed. Pain pulls it out. It reveals your capacity. It teaches endurance. It strips away pride and replaces it with purpose. When everything is going right, there's little reason to dig deeper. But when you're hurting, when you're broken, when the tears won't stop, you begin to reach for God in a way you never have before. And that reaching opens the door for transformation. God uses pain like a sculptor uses a chisel. Each strike may feel like it's breaking you, but it's actually shaping you. It's refining your character, strengthening your resolve, and aligning your life with your purpose. Pain exposes what's weak so God can build what's strong. It strips away the surface level strength you show the world and teaches you how to stand on truth, not titles, on grace, not ego, on faith, not fear. You don't truly know what's in you until the pain forces you to find it. But power built in comfort is fragile. But power forged through pain is enduring. That's the kind of power God is interested in developing in you. Not the temporary power that impresses people, but the eternal power that withstands storms. The power to forgive when it hurts. The power to trust when you're scared. The power to keep walking when you don't understand. That kind of power doesn't come from winning every battle. It comes from surviving the ones that nearly broke you. Every scar you carry is a reminder not of where you were destroyed, but where you were rebuilt. Pain leaves marks, but it also leaves meaning. It rewrites your perspective. It teaches you how to love deeper, live wiser, and fight harder for what matters. The woman who's walked through pain and didn't quit carries a quiet strength that doesn't need to prove itself. She knows who she is because she met herself in the fire. And that fire didn't consume her, it commissioned her. God will often allow pain not to punish you, but to prepare you. He knows what your next level requires. He knows the weight of the calling on your life. So he uses the discomfort to stretch you, to press you, to mature you. What feels like breaking is often building. What feels like delay is often development. The pain is not the end of your story. It's the evidence that your story is being rewritten with greater depth, a greater strength, and greater glory. Through pain, God brings clarity. He silences distractions and sharpens your focus. He pulls you away from what was draining your energy so you can pour into what fuels your destiny. In your lowest moments, he speaks the loudest. In your weakest seasons, he strengthens your spirit. Pain may change your pace, but it will not change your promise. And when it has completed its work, you'll rise with more than survival. You'll rise with power. Power that was born in adversity, refined in silence, and activated in surrender. There are seasons where tears seem to fall more than words can form. When prayers turn into sobs, and your strength feels spent before the day even begins. You wipe your face in silence, hiding your pain from the world, wondering if God hears the cries that no one else sees. But what you don't realize in those tender, broken moments is that your tears are not a sign of weakness. They are seeds. Every drop that falls is watering something within you. Something sacred, something strong. Your tears are not wasted. They are nourishing the woman you are becoming. Pain has a way of exposing what's real. When the surface cracks, your true self begins to rise. And while it hurts to feel everything so deeply, that sensitivity is part of your strength. The world teaches you to be numb, to be tough, to suppress emotions. But God uses tears differently. He allows them to soften what has grown hard, to cleanse what's been buried, to release what you've been holding too tightly. Your tears carry prayers, grief, and surrender. They speak louder than words ever could. And in heaven, not a single one goes unnoticed. In the soil of sorrow, something beautiful begins to grow. You may not see it right away, but deep within you, roots are forming, roots of resilience, faith, compassion, and wisdom. You're learning how to hold space for your emotions without being controlled by them. You're learning how to feel deeply and still move forward. That's not weakness, that's becoming. Each tear is softening the ground of your soul so purpose can take root. So when the time comes and the rain clears, there will be something strong enough to rise from it. The woman you are becoming is not being built in moments of celebration, but in seasons of surrender. When life doesn't make sense and you choose to trust anyway. When the pain is sharp, but you keep showing up. When you're aching inside, yet you still pour into others. These aren't just acts of survival. They are signs of transformation. God is shaping your character in the quiet, developing your endurance in the dark, and cultivating your future through every tear you've cried behind closed doors. You are not weak because you weep. You are strong because you refuse to let the tears stop your growth. With every painful goodbye, every silent night, every unspoken disappointment, you are rising. You are becoming more patient, more grounded, more attuned to who you are and what you're called to. The tears are not erasing you. They are revealing you, breaking down the pieces that no longer fit, and clearing space for the woman you are destined to be. Tears have a way of baptizing new seasons. They wash away the remnants of old identities, expired expectations, and former versions of yourself that you've outgrown. In their flow, healing finds its way in. In their honesty, transformation begins. You're no longer trying to hold it all together. You're learning to let go. And in that letting go, you find strength you never knew you had. Not because the pain is gone, but because you're no longer afraid to feel it and move through it. There's a power in your process that others can't see. While they may only notice the smile you wear, God sees the struggle that birthed it. While they may compliment the woman you've become, He knows the tears that watered her into existence. You are blooming from brokenness, rising from the rain, and no part of your pain has been wasted. Every tear was necessary. Every H had purpose. And even now, as you walk through uncertainty, something is growing, something holy, something unstoppable. The woman you are becoming is already taking root.